Okay, looks like we're ready.
Cool. So short meetings this time. We didn't have anything from the community. So on the dev thing, it's been 3 weeks. Did a ton of stuff meanwhile. I actually fixed a lot of my issues that I had with Chainbase, which is great. That means that RC delegations are now ready for review. The recurrent transfers have been tested, replayed, and are ready to review, but more on that later. I fixed a thing regarding the recovery account VOP that Bartek sent me. Actually, thanks to Smooth, I realized that the get open order CLI command was failing for some time now. So I did a review for that. I saw the issue with the proposal payout, and well, more on that later. I made a first proposed fix, but I think we need to think how we want to actually fix this, if we want to fix this. And finally, the support for an end date for a proposal has been, I did the reviews for the fix, and that's also ready. And finally, I'm starting to work on communities, and I'm trying to figure out how to get HiveMind to run in test mode, which more on that later as well. What did you do, Black Trades?
So we've been working on a couple different things, I guess. But I guess as far as HiveMind itself goes, we've been sort of finishing up some tasks on that. So we've been testing this weekend on our api.hive.blog, the latest development version, which has the fixes for follows and decentralization and decentralized lists, and muting. So it seems to be working fine. Performance seems okay. So I think that's probably going to get rolled out today, unless I saw a few more changes come in since that test began, though. So I don't know. Bartek, do you know if we're planning on doing any testing with the new changes that have been brought in to develop since we began HiveMind testing this weekend?
As far as I know, such changes completed successfully all our tests, and we are going to merge this version into master. There are several others merge requests just in develop, but I think and even few commits above latest tested version, but I think they are not yet ready to be merged into master. So we just move to master latest tested version.
Okay.
And mark it another target release. From other things, we have also developed some testing version having different data source of operations, what allowed us to improve sync performance. This version will be still more intensively tested and probably needs still some improvements. But as I can say right now, comparison to standard way of operation supply showed that synchronization using new interface is shorter in 9 hours. And so it is quite significant amount of time saved because of that change.
So was that change related to the indexing or something else?
This is a change related to different data source of operations. So we are taking operations from a database instead of.
Oh, okay. This is the SQL account history plugin changes. Okay.
Yes, and another things being done is analysis of performance issues, which probably are related to strange Postgres planner behavior during last phase of sync, where massive updates are done, and one of these massive queries behave very poor, and this query takes really several hours. But when we are trying to reproduce it on development systems, it completes in half hour. So here seems that we have fastest servers in the world. locally. But to be serious, definitely there is something wrong in indexes or with planning. Work
Okay.
is progressing here. One thing we have found, which in the past helped, and it was enforcing Postgres to not use sequence scan. But it seems that instead using sequence scan, it is using merge joins, which also are not best for such big amount of data.
Right.
And we are trying to remove such planner option and totally leave Postgres to decide how to execute this query, and maybe
Okay.
it
Yeah,
will.
I think I saw that merge request. I was
Yes,
looking
it
through it
was
earlier
done
today.
today after some
Yeah.
analysis and discussion in the office. So from other part of our work, we have also did some work at Hive side. For example, from one important things from development perspective, there is done merge request which eliminates usage of old condenser API related data types like legacy operations from our internal wallet interface. And I hope this will be first step to eliminate all the legacy operations from new operations we are adding quite often lately. I hope this work will be merged this week. There are a few comments and remarks and fixes needed, but there is nothing very serious, and I think it will be fixed quite easy. Our plans are also to complete two other missing features for hard fork 25 in next weeks. One of them probably will be implemented also in this week. Second, which is more complicated, and this is change to a time window when votes for posts are added. Probably will be completed in this month, and next we will go to testing phase. And I will also try to review this week a lot of merge requests prepared by Howo, because we would like to have everything done in next 2 weeks. Next, to focus on testing and further code reviews and eliminating potential risks and potential failures. As usual, to be ready and take and do hard fork as planned in half of the year. From HiveMind side, we have also today started some way of further analysis what can be improved in the sync process, and I hope we will have some results of profiling and statistical time analysis maybe even tomorrow.
Okay, cool. So just a little highlight some of that stuff. So we've now got actually 4 different ways to get account history data, or we will once this work is done. So we have the old legacy account history plugin, which I doubt anyone's still using, although I found out an exchange was using it just a few months ago. But most people are using currently the RocksDB plugin, which is much more memory efficient, of course. And we now got 2 new ones we're developing. One is they both work off Postgres data instead of off RocksDB data. So in either case, the data is put into Postgres database by this SQL account history plugin we've been talking about. But then there's 2 different ways you can get the data out. One is we have the API in Hive itself, and we're also implementing the API inside HiveMind as well, just in case. So the only reason you might want to switch between the 2, right now the Hive one's a little faster, but if you use the if you'd use the HiveMind one, you're not going to put any load on your node too. So there's definitely could be some situations where you might want to use that one instead of the Hive D one. But so it might seem like a little overkill with 4, but it's mainly just 4 different APIs for doing the same thing. But essentially, it's just more legacy, the older ones. I think there's still probably some benefit. Some people still might want to use the RocksDB one versus the account history one if they have a low, if it's not a heavily loaded system and they don't need performance, because it does take up more disk space to use the SQL one. I think RocksDB is around 310 gigabytes versus about 1.1 terabytes. So there's definitely some increase, but I think overall the performance is well worth it. We're looking at on cases where we measured 10 to 40x improvements in response time, and it's not just response time. Actually, it's also CPU loading is much lower when it comes to some of the operations like the ones where you're getting block data and stuff like that. So just sort of going over what Bartek was saying at a high level. So we've got HiveMind ready, a new HiveMind ready release ready. That's probably going to come out today or tomorrow for deployment to all the API node operators. And that's what I've been saying we've been running this weekend, and seems to be working fine. There's a few more enhancements we're working on HiveMind now, mostly just optimizations though at this point. Let's see. And then modular HiveMind work is where this SQL account history plugin comes in. That's really the first step in modular HiveMind. That allows us to get the raw data that we'll need that a modular HiveMind application will want in order to implement its own APIs. And let's see, what else? Anything else? I think that's pretty much it. There's something else in the back of my mind, but it'll come back to me later.
Cool. Okay. Well, mouthful. But yeah, pretty cool. So that's it for DevSync. So speaking of merging all of my stuff, should we wait for the automated actions to be done or not? Because I don't know how long it will take me to implement it. And yeah, I don't know if it'll work at all.
Well, yeah, if it's going to dramatically change things, I'm not sure that it makes sense to merge it in until,
Yeah, my whole idea would be to merge it as is, and then I'll do the like a whole, let's say I'll take time to do the research and development for the automated actions, and then I'll merge everything in, like proposal payments, recurrent transfers, stuff like that. Well, most of the automated actions would be done using it. So it would be a separate thing.
Okay.
So yeah. Then there was a discussion, I think it was 2 meetings ago, where we discussed the idea to have a proposal with a cutoff amount, so which would allow to be.
That's what that one was. Okay.
to do
I didn't know what that issue was when I read it.
Yeah, reading it, I was like, what did I mean? But yeah, the idea is to do what Hive tips did, but in a more trustless way, and like I spent a tiny bit of time working it through, and one of the implementation hurdles that I'm having is that how do you store the amount of money that was already paid out? And so I think the only way to backfill the data would be to, during the hard fork 25, like run through every proposal and fill that in retrospectively. And I wonder if there is a better way to do it. I don't think so.
Wait, so I mean, you're talking about for the hard fork, or you're talking about, I mean, this would only kick in for new proposals, right? This wouldn't be anything for old proposals.
Oh,
right?
Well, yeah, but then my train of thought.
Are you talking about somebody has an update feature to?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, while I'm doing update, might as well also allow to update the cutoff amounts. So that, like, for instance, Hive tips can update their proposal and be like, yeah, by the way, we'll do it. And then front ends will be able to like display a little thing, and it'll look like better.
Okay.
Hive tips won't have like marketing issues.
I mean, I guess you could just have it fail for proposals older than a certain time, unless you want it to work for, unless you're, I guess one of the goals is to make it work for old proposals.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because the alternative is really to it's gonna make
Yeah, it sounds like
the
a
time.
mess.
Yeah, so the replay will last forever.
Yeah, I question whether it's worth supporting old proposals enough to make the mess in the code for that.
Yeah, let me quickly scan through open proposals, because thanks to Hardtalk 24, there isn't that many proposals that run forever in the future. So I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think generally I don't like those anyways.
Yeah, I think it's fine to just allow it for the future and good to go. Okay, good. I like the idea.
Okay.
So next there is a rounding issue. Speaking of proposals, there is a rounding issue regarding proposal payments. So I think you're more aware than I am about the trade-off, because I think it was a trade-off that was like conscious, because when I look at the tests, it's literally written it should be 2, but it's actually 1.9 because we don't do any rounding. Do you know why you didn't do any rounding?
I'd have to defer to the guys who implemented that. I don't know if he's on the call though. I don't think he is.
Okay. But like in theory, rounding, like adding rounding doesn't sound too bad, right?
It's not necessarily, but I mean, we have to be a little careful about it. That's all. I'd say it's probably best to take it offline, where we can discuss with the guys who are doing the math. I mean, when you're dealing integer math and floating point math, it's, you know, you got to, yeah, there's lots of considerations. I don't see the CPU being an issue for sure. We just don't have enough proposals that are operating at any given time to matter. But
I think the only thing with the rounding is like basically it's if you have 1.5, is it a 2 or is it a 1? And that's basically the only thing that I can see regarding it. So yeah, I pushed a first rough draft where basically it's not perfect rounding, but instead of having like 1.94, you have 1.99, which is closer to what it should be, but it's not perfect either. And like worst case, we can go there and see how it goes. And yeah,
yes, I think Andre made a comment afterwards on it.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it was like 20 minutes ago, so I didn't have time to
Yeah,
check it out.
of course. Yeah, that's what I said. I think it's easier to take offline. We can.
But yeah, well, we'll see on that. And yeah, as I said, this is a short one. Finally, I'm starting to work on HiveMind, and I guess there is no documentation, right? Could we perhaps make a HiveMind, like just a startup documentation guide?
Well, there's documentation for HiveMind. I just don't think we've added any more particularly. So you're talking about more, I think your questions was mainly how to do testing, right? Or was there something else?
Basically how to set up an environment to start working on it, basically. So how do I get Hive with 5 million? How do you load 5 million blocks into it?
So the CI is basically a step. If you look at the YAML file, that's basically a step-by-step of how to do it. So in other words, the CI has to do all those steps, right? So you can literally look at the CI scripts and see what it does to set up an environment, because that's what it does. It sets up an environment on a test machine.
Okay, that's neat. But yeah, basically I'll look into it and I'll bombard you guys with questions very soon.
Okay, sounds good.
But yeah, well, while we're on the subject, the idea is to add support for more communities features. Namely, well, some of these features are already existing in the code, but are not enabled, but it's mostly some pretty standard stuff, like a community where only members can post, so that the API should not return any comment that is made by someone that's not a member, and stuff like this.
Okay, so that's implemented in the code. It's just disabled, you're saying?
Well, it's not disabled per se. It's that the feature is you cannot create a community.
You can't you can't communicate, right? So the API is there, you're saying, but not the community itself. Yeah, I mean, exactly. There's no way to create that community type.
Yeah. Well, I haven't tested if you can create it, but I'm assuming it's not possible yet.
Okay.
So yeah, we are on a quest to find Roadscape because apparently he has.
Yeah, I was gonna say Roadscape would be the first one to talk to before we jump into that too far, I'd say.
But he seems to have skipped town. But so yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I'm working on, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Do you guys have any other subjects?
Sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I have a question. How, if I understood, you are trying to add API to testing API to add communities for just for further tests, or
well, not even test API. My basic idea was to be like, okay, I'll spin up a test
because
node.
I am asking because in HiveMind we have already done mechanism of mocking where we are adding data required for further testing. For example, we are able to define communities, to define other custom operations like follows and blacklists. So maybe this is a valid way to define some communities required next for testing of other APIs instead of adding some dedicated testing API, which next will be need to just to be supported and maintained.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, How is not talking about adding new tests. What he's talking about is adding new community capabilities. So in other words, new functionality.
Okay, sorry. So
well, technically,
I
new tests
have
as
to
well.
miss something. Okay.
So yeah, there was some, Roadscape had some ideas for creating some different types of
Okay.
communities, but I guess the code isn't, there was never apparently, or at least is no obvious way to create such communities right now, even though there's, I guess, API support at some level for it. So he wants to take a look at that and see if we can enable those kind of capabilities. But as part of that, he wants to know how to set up a testing system. And I told him he should take a look at the CI, because that's essentially sets up the testing environment. And it also, I told him about the mock data and how that's the proper way to do tests. So he's aware of that, although he may have questions.
Yeah. Does the mock data, the idea is that it mocks data coming from the Hive.
Yes.
Okay.
So you don't have to actually get a 49 million blockchain and add your new operations to the end with real. You just insert data like it's coming from a Hive, and so you can have your 5 million blocks of data already in your HiveMind, set up, ready to go from a dump, and then you just put some mock data on top of that to test your HiveMind API stuff.
Yeah. Okay, I see. Yeah, I'll probably have to dig quite a bit into it, but yeah, this is better taken offline, anyways. So yeah, those were my questions, and yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay. I think that's. Anybody else have questions? Okay. It looks like you predicted correctly. It looks like it's a short meeting today.
Well, it's easy when I make the points. Oh, actually, we have a few questions on the chat. We need a Java library for Hive. Well, by all means, feel free to.
Where are you reading those questions?
On the YouTube. I'll send you the link on the YouTube.
Oh, I don't have a link for that. Okay, well, go ahead and just read them out. I guess that's fine.
Yeah. So Full-Time Geek is asking, we need a Java library for Hive so that we can run apps natively on Android phones. All phone apps for Hive sucks right now because it runs on JavaScript, in my humble opinion. That's debatable, I'd say. And well, why not? We just don't have any bandwidth for it right now. But
so there's no Java library now for.
Oh, actually, there used to be one.
I think there is, right?
Yeah, it used to be one a long time. Well, I mean, it's not Hive
still there, right? It might need some work.
It's on Steam somewhere, and I think it was an actual complete API. Not because there is a ton of APIs that are just like calling the public endpoints and not actually signing. And I think this one did signing.
Okay, so maybe you could just post the link to that after the question later on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I need to dig through it to find it. And finally, can the Liu and CTP communities? Can we use Liu and CTP communities as use case for now community functionalities? I don't understand the question. Oh, Liu. Well, we would enable the new community features for everyone, pretty much. It would like, that's the beauty of HiveMind. That was the whole reason why BlockTrade is focusing so much on HiveMind, is so that we can enable new features to the Hive blockchain without having to go through the pain that is a hard fork. Like literally, we've been working for what, 3-4 months just to get new features going for the next hard fork, and it won't go live until like 3 more months. And HiveMind allows us to be much more flexible and ship new features and basically be agile, because right now it's basically V development for the chain, which is not very modern. So in short, yes, we can use them. And Fulltime Geek says it's a wrapper, it won't work on Android natively. Well, then we feel free to build a new one. But I don't think we even have Java developers. I mean, actual Java developers, not people who just know Java.
Well, I mean, I have Java developers.
Well, I mean, there you go. just go beg BlockTrade for support.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're tied up in other projects at the moment, but yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there is. I don't know how if like Java JavaScript's Android applications are that bad. I think Electron has gone a long way. And also,
yeah, I mean, I think that often you can deploy quite. I mean, it all depends on your web application, right? If your web application is written efficiently, it works just fine inside of Electron, and I can't really tell the difference between a native application and a well-written embedded application.
Yeah, exactly. So
from a programming point of view, it might you can disagree from a programming point of view. Java is certainly a lot cleaner than JavaScript. There's no doubt. But
well, I mean, TypeScript is
but
not
from a user, TypeScript. I mean, there's obviously improvements along the way for JavaScript, but I mean, from a user standpoint, I don't think there's a huge difference.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, and see you in 2 weeks, probably, with a ton of reviews, hopefully, and communities and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll see. See you guys.
Thank you. See you.
Bye.
See you.